And so Pralle is from KU Leuven in Belgium, and she will talk about acoustic enrichment interest group, a network to synchronize research and explore the use of sounds for animal health and welfare.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Can everyone see the shared screen okay? Perfect. Yes. Okay, that's great. So thank you for letting me be a part of this program. So I'm really pleased to be here and to tell you about a new initiative, which is this acoustic enrichment interest group on behalf of the other group members. So first, what I'll do is I'll explain to you the motivation behind creating this network, and then tell you a little bit about our goals and activities and our members. Okay, so obviously with the increasing human population and activities, we see in the landscapes that we're changing it a lot. But sometimes I think we also forget that when we change the landscapes, we're also changing soundscapes. And generally, I feel that in understanding welfare and understanding well-being, especially in animals, the sound environment has received comparatively less interest, unless it is noise. So noise is, I think, the one exception to that. But however, when we change landscapes, not only are we adding noise, but in this case, mostly it's human-generated noise, which is sometimes referred to as anthrophony. But when our activities also alter the relative balance of other aspects of the environment, such as biophony, so sounds created by living animals and living beings, versus geophony, which is the sounds created by non-biotic things such as wind and water. So as I mentioned, there has been a lot of work looking at the impacts of anthrophony or human-generated noise in humans, first of all. And it's clear from many of these studies that noise, however, in which we define it also at a psychological level of it being irritating and unpleasant and unwanted, has a lot of impact on our health. And it's involved in premature death. It's involved in a lot of predicting heart disease and things like that. So in humans, it's quite clear that it has a lot of, at least noise has a lot of negative effects, and a lot of work has been done to show this. In animals, there's also actually been a lot of work done on understanding anthropogenic or human-generated noise on animal health and behavior. And very similar to humans, generally, the effects are quite negative. So for example, probably one of the more obvious ones is that the noise disrupts acoustic communication. So either the animals cannot hear each other, or if they alter their communication sounds, then it becomes unattractive to the opposite sex. And that alters kind of mating behaviors, or actually fitness in the long term. Or sometimes, again, if they cannot be heard, or if they have to change the way they sound, they're misidentified. Disruption of communication also increase predation risk in wild animals. And apart from disrupting communication, it also, for example, it can distract them. So it can decrease how efficiently they forage, again, increase predation risk, and disrupt movement and navigation. Finally, anthropogenic noise can also itself be stressful. So there's lots of evidence that it activates the stress response signaling pathways, one of them being this glucocorticoid one. We see accelerated telomere loss, with telomere length being a biomarker of aging. There's also evidence of learning memory impairments, also impacts on fitness, and many, many, many more. So again, this is just to show you that a lot of work has been done to show that noise is not good for animals and humans. So because I think a lot of work has been done in noise, many of the mitigation efforts target noise reduction. So in all different countries, we have, I think, some sort of noise reducing, like laws to reduce noise levels. And for animals, I think the EU Marine, sorry, I can't see the name, Marine Strategy Framework Directive is a nice example of at least trying to apply some of this noise reduction also to aquatic animals. However, I do think that noise reduction is only part of the solution. as I mentioned, when our activities not only introduce noise, but they also change the other types of sounds that are in the environment. So one of the reasons noise reduction is only part of the solution is that one, sound level accounts for only about 1/3 of the effect of annoyance, and this is in humans. And if you focus only on how loud something is, then you're overlooking the complexity of the acoustic environment, which consists of multitudes of sounds that can be considered individually, but also at the same time have to be considered in their entirety. So in this case, not just the sound, but the soundscape. Which means that achieving better acoustic comfort, again, for humans, but I think acoustic quality in general and long-term improvements in quality of life must therefore involve differentiated strategies. And this comes from this paper from Mushona, which again focuses on humans, but again, I think it translates quite well also to animals. It should also be applicable to animals. So if noise isn't enough, and we have to have more strategies, what can some of these strategies be? So here the idea is that perhaps not just reducing noise, but increasing the quality of the soundscape itself is important. So here, what I want to show you is there's some evidence that sounds also have a positive effect on human health, healing, and restoration. So for example, there have been some studies to suggest that access to music, quiet and/or biophonic and geophonic rich landscapes are good for people. They're helpful in making people feel less stressed, and also changes in mood, which then of course has downstream impacts on their well-being and their health. Particularly, I think a lot of focus has been on music. And music therapy and medicine, not only for the general population, but even for targeting specific, disorders or problems. And I just have a quote here, and it's just, I understand this is anecdotal, but it highlights, I think, quite well sometimes the powerfulness of the effect that a sound environment such as music can have. So here, this is someone talking about, he's working in a music therapy in aging patients. So here he plays, sorry, I'm not sure actually, plays music to the patients. And while I was playing music or playing a swing style of song, Henry, one of the patients who I was told couldn't walk on his own, leapt out of his chair and started dancing for as long as I played. And although he couldn't walk independently, his motor memory for dance was still intact and easily accessible through music. So dancing became a way to use this preserved motor memory to get Henry on his feet every day to dance. His balance and his cognitive ability improved so much that he was discharged back to his daughter's home. So music becomes a template for movement, initiation of movement, as well as the timing between each step. So again, this is just, I think, quite a powerful example to show you how much sounds can help if you have the right sound in the right situation. Sounds in animal health, healing, and restoration, on the other hand, here I think we could do much better. So, for example, I think there are some really actually nice examples in marine studies looking at acoustic enrichment. So they will, for example, play sounds of healthy reefs in degraded reefs. And what that does is that improves the health of the reef in general, because it attracts different, I suppose, the right, it attracts animals to settle and pass through there. And also, for example, there are also examples of acoustic enrichment used to help animals cross at the right places in railways and roads and things like that. So I think here you have some really nice examples also of acoustic in terms of conservation. The other type of sound that's been studied a lot in terms of how it affects animals, again, is music. And I think, again, music, because partly we're so affected by it. But also I think that there is no other terminology to describe good sounds, which is why music happens to be the other type of sound which we have a lot of studies on and its effects in animals. So just to show that there have been quite a few reviews on the subject, on lab animals, on rats and mice, on general studies, on dogs, and even on farm animals. So the studies have looked at effects of music at many different levels, brain behavior and physiology, as well as affective state. And overall, the picture suggests that the effects of music are species dependent, and depending on the species and depending on many things, sometimes quite inconsistent. So at this stage, we're really not sure yet how to use music to improve animal welfare. Part of the reason is as well is because the mechanism of how music actually works to help animals isn't clear. So I think in general, we need to understand then what combination of sounds are valued to the animals, so what they want to hear at that point, and how context, such as when and where, can positively impact them. So here, we now start talking about the AEWG. We believe that soundscapes, like other basic aspects of animal health and welfare, like nutrition and other facets of housing, can contribute significantly and positively to animal health and well-being. So while noise can, of course, have negative effects, other sounds contribute in part of the soundscape, also have positive ones. And this, I feel, is really lacking. Our understanding of this is we don't know that much. Furthermore, we also feel that soundscapes cannot be considered in isolation. So again, the context of what is happening, how much the sound means to an animal, again, that varies, and the location of the sounds matter. And these are also some things that haven't been addressed so well in existing studies. And we define acoustic enrichment as the modification of soundscapes via addition, reduction, or removal of sounds by humans or animals that improves indicators of animal health and welfare. So, hooray! So with this motivation, we formed the Acoustic Enrichment Interest Group. And we believe that acoustic enrichment requires a creative and interdisciplinary approach. And so what the group does is it aims to promote dialogue between researchers, practitioners, and the public by enabling networking opportunities and knowledge exchange. And we hope that this will create and develop valuable knowledge about the relationship between sounds and animal welfare, and will generate a positive impact on animal well-being through practical initiatives and advocacy. So there you go. Networking, knowledge exchange. I don't have a thing for advocacy, I'm sorry. So coming towards the end, at the moment, we are 23 active members across 10 countries. So the AAG started in November 2023, so we're quite new. And just to show you that at the moment, we are mostly academics at different career stages, spread out across many different institutions, but that where there are in our group behavioral ecology, people who are studying in behavioral ecology, ethology, animal welfare sciences, veterinary sciences, musicology, animal production sciences, and animal computer interaction. So it's nice, I think, that it's such quite a diverse group. But of course, I think that there are other fields in which we would benefit from understanding, and of course, practitioners as well, understanding the requirements in maybe to implement soundscapes in actually improving animal welfare. So finally, I just wanted to say that since we are new and since I think we want more people to join us and to understand how sounds can be used for animal health, we created a website. So I have here the QR code that you can scan and also the link if you can't scan the QR code. And so far, our activities since we just started are limited to a membership page in which you can join up to be a member and then connect with and see who else is there and also connect with us. We have a monthly meeting. If you join the group, then you will get notified of these monthly meetings. And also we have at the moment a monthly blog in which here I have an example of the one in May, where we talk about some of the research or work that's being done in acoustic enrichment. And with that, thank you for listening. And yeah, any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thanks a lot, Pralle, for the very nice talk. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that yeah, that more is done on acoustic enrichment, because I think most of, at least the former studies, only played human music and just looked at, not in much details also on how much it affects farm animals, for example, without looking at whether playing or some kind of other soundscape, like their natural soundscape, would be much better, or doing some music that is more tuned to each species, because there are lots of species differences also in how they react. I was wondering how, what is your main goal or main focus? Would it be captive species in zoos or farm animals or everything?
So again, the interests of our members are quite wide. So there are quite a few interested in farm animals, but a lot also work is being done in zoo animals and companion animals. And some of them, our members, are also interested in its effects on free living animals. So it's, yeah, it's quite broad. We don't have a specific target group just yet. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's quite nice. At the moment, it's inclusive.
Thanks. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. There are several in the chat, actually. One more of a comment by Alan, who's worried that sound enrichment might be cheapish enrichment for animals in very poor conditions. Do you have any input on that, or?
So can you repeat that?
So Alan is mentioning that he's afraid that acoustic enrichment might be used by, for animals in very poor condition, to just say, okay, now we enrich their environment, and so to improve the welfare, which might actually not, if it's not a music that is very impactful. Do you have any input on that?
Yeah, so I think that's why I mentioned, I think that a lot of this work has to be done in context. So often, people just believe that, yeah, if you play sounds, everything will be better. If you play music, it's often music, I don't know why. Music is somehow magical to humans. If we play music, everything will be better. It will save animals from every poor condition possible. But I don't really think that's true. So for example, even in humans, yes, music has very positive effects on our mood regulation. But it's not that, listening to your favorite song as you're trying to fall asleep is going to benefit you at all. So I do think that even if we do find a sound that seems like, for example, the research on rats, music really, if anything, if any population seems to affect rodents the most in the most positive way, but we still don't have any understanding of how we should implement it. Does that mean that they have to get stuck listening to this 12 minutes of Mozart for the rest of their life? Is it during breeding? Should they not play it during breeding? And, again, it may not rescue the effects of if their other conditions are horrible, I don't think music will necessarily rescue it. So in context, I think is really important. Yeah,
there's definitely a lot to be done.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your talk. Yeah, there's still many comments and questions, but I think you can, if you agree to answer them in the chat, and then we can move on to the next speaker.
Perfect. So thank you very much.
Thanks again, Pralle, and I will hand over to Tamara to introduce the next speaker.